Welcome to Dose with Grace. I hope you're doing well and taking very good care of your health. Today is Ram Navami. Yesterday was the Ashtami. So we are going through some very pious and positive, auspicious days, especially in Hindu calendar. So I wish you all a very, very happy Ram Navami. This year Ram Navami in India is totally celebrated as a Mahautsav because Sri Ram Lala की स्थापना हुई है। तो मेरी तरफ से अयोध्या वासियों को और भारतवासियों को सबको, टू ऑल द इंडियंस अक्रॉस द वर्ल्ड, टू ऑल द इंडियंस इन इंडिया एंड टू ऑल द श्री राम डिवोटीज एवरीवेयर, जय श्री राम and a very very happy Ram Navami. Today we are going to do the chapter 5 of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, going with the series. I hope you have been going through the previous videos, starting from who and why and who should read Bhagavad Gita, and then chapter 1 and the two videos of chapter 2, because chapter 2 is a very very elaborate chapter, chapter 3 and chapter 4, and now we are in the 5th chapter, which is Karm Sannyas Yoga. But before we begin, let's start with chanting these two very powerful and blissful and enlightening Mahamantras. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Welcome back. So, as I was saying, that the last chapter was Gyan Karma Sannyas Yoga, chapter 4, in which Sri Krishna has told Arjun about the importance, first of all, about the Sankhya Gyan in chapter 2, and then in this chapter about the importance of having knowledge, and not just the Vigyan, not just the applied knowledge, but the deep understanding of the Gyan, the understanding of Atma, and then doing karma according to that knowledge, so that there is complete removal of darkness of doubt with this true knowledge, to do his duty and dedicate it to God. The next chapter is called Karma Sannyas Yoga. So let's see in this chapter what translates between Arjuna and what we learn from Sri Krishna. The first shloka of chapter 5, Arjuna asks Krishna, that, "Hey Krishna, that you have praised sannyas from all karma, and you have also praised Nishkam Karma Yoga." The first shloka actually says, "Hey Krishna, आप कर्मों के संन्यास की और फिर निष्काम कर्म योग की प्रशंसा करते हैं." Both, you are praising both sannyas of karmas and then nishkam karma yoga. But इसीलिए, since you are praising both equally, I want to know whichever path or whichever methodology between the two is more auspicious for me, please let me know. After Arjun says that, Sri Krishna says, "Hey Arjun, karmo ka sannyas." Now, what is sannyas from karmas? It means man इंद्रियों और शरीर द्वारा संपूर्ण कर्मों में कर्तापन का त्याग. Removing the sense of doership from whatever we do through our senses, through our body, and through our mind. That truly is called sannyas. So, mostly we think sannyas means leaving everything and going to Himalayas. No. Sannyas actually means that not attaching the sense of doership, not attaching the sense of I am doing into any of your actions. Knowing that these actions are happening as a result of Panch Mahabhut, the five elements which are five Gyanendriyas, which are the five sense organs that we have in our body. For example, eyes, ears, tongue, nose, skin, and five Karmendriyas, which are the things that result as an action of these with the outer world. For example, seeing happens through eye, hearing happens through ear, tasting happens through mouth, through the tongue, smelling happens through nose, and touch happens through the skin. And further, much more subtler things like speech, thought, ego, ahankar, buddhi, all that combination is what makes our actions happen into this world. So a person who is truly knowledgeable, has a jnani, will know that I am not the doer. It is my nature which is getting certain things done. Why do we when we generally see in psychology, we can predict through a certain over a certain period of time, when we observe someone, we can predict that in a certain circumstance some person will behave in a certain manner. So it is because of their inherent nature, they will have a certain method of operating in this world. So this is what is called sannyas. Knowing karmo ka sannyas means whatever actions we do, the karmas that we do, not attaching a doership to that. Any action that we do either through our body, our mind, or our senses. And Nishkam Karm Yog, which means Samta Buddhi se, at sameness of the feeling, sameness of the mind, sameness of the heart, doing things and dovetailing it to God. So Nishkam Karma Yoga, as I have also explained in the previous chapter, is a very beautiful concept to understand, and is reoccurring again and again in Bhagavad Gita for us to understand that that is the most uttam form of karma. Not attaching ourselves to the fruits of our actions, but attaching ourselves to the knowing of what is the right action and doing it enthusiastically and dovetailing, dedicating all our actions to our higher self or God. So Shri Krishna says both are param kalyan karne wale, both are absolutely auspicious and absolutely beneficial. But between the two, because of its operation, because of its operating method, Nishkam Karma Yoga is easier for us to practice. That's why he says, Arjun, the person who doesn't have a jealousy or doesn't keep an ill will with anyone, nor is full of expectations from others, that person is the Nishkam Karma Yogi, is like a sannyasi only, because that person is now free from either attachments or hatred. Hey Arjun, like that, both sannyas, the karma ka sannyas, that means detaching the doership from your action, as well as doing action in the service of your duty or as your dharma, both are not different paths. Only foolish people call them as different paths. Both, in both paths, if you put yourself, if you take a sankalp, if you become dedicated to either of these paths, both will take you towards your highest good and will reach you to the to God, to your highest self. Gyan Yogi, the way they reach their highest potential, same way Nishkam Karm Yogi also reaches their highest potential. In fact, whoever understands that Gyan Yoga and Nishkam Karm Yoga is one, that person is able to see the truth. Also, further, Shri Krishna explains, without Nishkam Karm Yoga as a basis, or without having Nishkam Karm Yoga as your constitutional operating system, it is impossible to have a sense of non-doership from your either your what you do from your body, or you do through your mind, or you do through your senses. So basically, reaching sannyas is not even possible unless you know how to practice, or you have reached that stage of doing Nishkam Karm Yoga. Someone who has a proper control over their senses, basically someone who is a very balanced and a very lives in that sense of inner meditativeness. Outer, they are operating with everyone, they are doing all of their jobs, they are discussing, they are in relationship with people, but inside, deep inside, there is a complete congruence, there is a complete sense of meditativeness. Such people, in any actions that they are doing, in any activities they are involved, in any position of power or responsibility or duty that they are in, they are not bonded with that. So they are not bonded to this world, this materialistic world, because of that sense of inner meditativeness. Because that inner meditativeness only comes from that true knowledge that I am not the doer. It is my nature that is being the medium of doing and doing that action that is happening through me. तत्व को जानने वाला सांख्य योगी तो, this is a very beautiful shloka which is 7 to 9, 8 and 9 shloka, which says, तत्व को जानने वाला सांख्य योगी तो देखता हुआ, सुनता हुआ, स्पर्श करता हुआ, सूंघता हुआ, भोजन करता हुआ, गमन करता हुआ, सोता हुआ, श्वास लेता हुआ, बोलता हुआ, त्यागता हुआ, ग्रहण करता हुआ और आंखों को खोलता और मीचता हुआ भी सब इंद्रियां अपने आप अर्थ में बरत रही हैं, इस प्रकार समझता हुआ निसंदेह ऐसे माने कि मैं कुछ भी नहीं करता हूँ. Now imagine, if you have eyes and you have eyesight, are you seeing, or it is just the eye that is seeing? Because its nature is to see. If you have nose and your nose is in perfect condition, it's not damaged, and your nerves are not blocked, then are you smelling, or is it the nature of your nose that it can sense and smell different fragrances or differentiate between good smell and a bad smell? Your buddhi is automatically working. Your breathing is automatically happening even when we are sleeping, even when we are in deep sleep, even when we are in complete unawareness. We are able to breathe in and out throughout our life. So, a person who truly understands the tattva means the true knowledge, the essence of knowledge. The one who understands the essence of knowledge understands that during all of these activities, walking, talking, breathing, tasting, sleeping, and different other activities, even in the blink of an eye, it is happening on its own. the nature of its own, the nature of that activity is happening due to the quality of that organ, and the quality of that organ is inherent. We are not doing anything about it. Only when something happens as a blockage, we need to do something. But on its own, things just happen within our body, and so in Prakriti, so outside. देह अभिमानियों द्वारा का ये साधन होना कठिन है और निष्काम कर्म योग सुगम है, क्योंकि जो पुरुष सब कर्मों को परमात्मा में अर्पण करके और आसक्ति को त्याग कर कर्म करता है, वह पुरुष जल से कमल के पत्ते की तरह सदृश पाप से लिपायमान नहीं होता. Now, even when I told you about the breath, which you totally will agree, that whoever will disagree with it, let me know. That don't you breathe when you are taking rest? Don't you breathe when you are in deep sleep, that you are not even aware that you are alive? And so there will be more things that we can discuss, that maybe we are not aware that our heart is beating, and it's beating. We are not aware the blood is getting purified, but it is. So a lot of functions that are happening on their own due to the nature of their happening. We are not aware that we are able to hear. You're not doing anything to hear. You're just able to hear. You're not doing anything. Your eyes open and shut. And so that's what Krishna is saying. It is very difficult for Deha Abhimani, the ego that so much we have attached with I am the doer. I am the one who is doing each one of these actions and activities. Forget other bigger things in which we say that I am running the house. I am making sure my children are good. I am making sure my family is healthy and happy. I am the one who's educating so well. Talking of certain profession, I am the one who's saving lives. I am the one who's protecting countries. So the ego is getting bigger and bigger and bigger as the periphery of our functioning is increasing. But here, that's why Krishna is saying it is very, very difficult for people who have so much ego in them to go through this kind of path, to have that sense of non-doership to everything that they do. Therefore, Nishkam Karma Yoga is much easier for them, because in that, whatever you do, you just make sure you say that I'm doing in service of God. And you remove yourself from the consequence. You remove your attachment or attraction from the consequences, and such person lives their life just like lotus lives in water. It's unattached. It is in water, very much in the muddy water, but it is not getting either mud on itself, nor it is having water on itself. It is just there, very much connected, but at the same time it is completely away from it. It is not getting meddled with it. That is why Krishna says Nishkam Karma Yogi, without too much attachments, without too much mamta, but with complete awareness, with their senses, with their mind, with their intellect, and with their body, they only work towards the complete purity of their existence. That their existence is the reason why they are into action. There is no other reason. Not because it is their intellect which is so great, that is why they are into action, or their body is so capable, or their mind is so capable. So they are not attaching anything, any credit to any of these attributes, but to the fact that the existence itself needs karma, and therefore they are doing it, and they try to do the karma according to the dharma, the duty, the constitutional duty that is aspired to them, and therefore they live in the sense of freedom, without any hatred, without any jealousy, without any comparisons, and they are living like sannyasis. That is why निष्काम कर्मयोगी कर्मों के फल को परमेश्वर को अर्पण करके भगवत प्राप्ति रूप शांति को प्राप्त करता है, और सकामी पुरुष फल में आसक्त हुआ कामना के द्वारा बनता है, इसलिए निष्काम कर्मयोग उत्तम है. Now many of you will say that it is impossible to not desire. It is impossible to not be affected by the results. And that would slowly start demotivating the person who's working hard, because as you keep seeing results, that is a motivation. Unfortunately, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says Sakami Karma Yogi is the person who does good deeds for getting good results, whereas Nishkam Karma Yogi does deeds which are the right deeds to be done without having any expectations of any kind of results. So the Nishkam Karma Yogi lives in a very peaceful state of mind, whereas the Sakam Karma Yogi is continuously doing good deeds, but they are continuously doing those good deeds with the expectation that these good deeds will result in something better for me. They will get me a desired. For example, if you're working hard to get a job, I will get a better job. If you're working hard to get selected in an interview, so I'll get selected in an interview. If you're working hard to get a certain percentage, I want to get a certain percentage. If you're working hard in a relationship to win someone's love, the Sakam Karma Yogi is doing it with a pursuit to receive that love. And if that is not achieved, then that is highly disappointing to them. And so where does the demotivation come? Actually, if you really see, in the process of doing Sakam Karma Yoga, where you're attaching yourself to a certain particular result. Now that once that result is not achieved, there is a demotivation. Whereas in Nishkam Karma Yoga, since you do your duty with great enthusiasm and without any laziness, just because this is your duty and hence you must do it, and you do it in the pursuit of being as a pure being in the service of God, it doesn't matter whether results are contrary to someone who is doing the same amount of hard work but they are achieving it. You don't compare, you don't expect, you don't feel jealous, but you go with the same enthusiasm over and over again to continue working. So who is living a more blissful life? And who is more satisfied? Who is having more peace within? Of course, the Nishkam Karma Yogi. That's why Sri Krishna says Nishkam Karma Yoga Uttam hai. It is the best. हे अर्जुन, वश में है अंतकरण जिसका, ऐसे सांख्य योग का आचरण करने वाला पुरुष तो निसंदेह ना करता हुआ और ना करवाता हुआ 9 द्वारों वाले शरीर रूप घर में सब कर्मों को मन से त्याग कर, अर्थात इंद्रियों के अर्थ में बरतती हैं, ऐसा मानता हुआ आनंद पूर्वक सच्चिदानंदन परमात्मा के स्वरूप में स्थित रहता है. So one who does their duty knowing that I am doing what I am supposed to do and therefore understands that I am not the doer, the doing is happening through me, and therefore when you leave the doership of your actions, then at that point understanding that all of my actions through my body, mind and my sense organs are happening as a result of the natural state of them doing it. That person lives in eternal peace and is achieving their highest potential as well. Even Krishna says further, even God, परमेश्वर भी भूत प्राणियों के ना कर्तापन को और ना कर्मों के फलों के संयोग को वास्तव में रचता है, क्योंकि परमात्मा के सकाश से प्रकृति ही बरतती है, अर्थात गुण ही गुणों में बरत रहे हैं. Now here Krishna says that God also doesn't take any of our good karmas or bad karmas or the connection or interrelationship between the karmas and the consequences of karma. So God is not attached to that also. God is one light, and that light creates this creation, and in this creation whatever the 3 modes of nature operate, whatever operates in this mode of nature through our mind, through our intellect, and through our ahankar, the sense of identity that we create for ourselves, that works on itself to create karma, and the consequences of karma becomes a cycle of its own. सर्वव्यापी परमात्मा ना किसी के पाप कर्म को ना ही किसी के शुभ कर्म को भी ग्रहण करता है, किंतु माया के द्वारा ज्ञान ढका हुआ है, इससे सब जीव मोहित हो रहे हैं. सो इफ वी थिंक दैट गॉड आई एम प्लीज टेक माई away my bad karmas and give me good karmas, God is not sitting there and making a decision of that. It is our own actions and our own principles that we follow, and in a principled way the process itself takes care of the righteousness and reward and punishment. So again and again, Krishna is trying to explain through his more sentences, like अंतकरण का अज्ञान आत्मज्ञान द्वारा नाश हो गया है उनका, वह ज्ञान सूरज के सदृश उस सच्चिदानंद परमात्मा को प्रकाशता है. त्रिदूप है बुद्धि जिसकी तथा त्रिदूप है मन जिसका, और उस सच्चिदानंदन परमात्मा में ही है निरंतर एक ही भाव से स्थिति जिसकी. ऐसे तत्व परायण पुरुष ज्ञान के द्वारा पाप रहित हुए अपुनरावृत्ति को अर्थात परम गति को प्राप्त होते हैं. ऐसे वे ज्ञानी जन विद्या और विनय युक्त ब्राह्मण तथा गौ, हाथी, कुत्ते और चंडाल में भी समभाव से देखने वाले होते हैं. नाउ हियर कृष्णा इज ट्राइंग टू एक्सप्लेन दैट व्हेन यू हैव तत्व ज्ञान, व्हेन यू नो, तत्व ज्ञान बेसिकली is having this understanding that Atma and Prakriti are two separate things. Atma never takes birth, it never dies. To more understand this, probably you can go to chapter 2 to understand the Sankhya Yoga. Sankhya Yoga is all about understanding Purush, which is Atma, and Prakriti. Purush doesn't mean man here. Purush means soul, consciousness, and Prakriti means matter. So when these two come together, on their own they don't operate. On their own, Prakriti also cannot operate, and on its own, soul is also has nothing to do. It is just existent as consciousness. But when they come together, then comes man, buddhi, and ahankar. And then the five senses, the five jnanendriya, the five karmendriya, then comes the more subtle senses of speech, hearing, and all these things. And then the whole three gunas, that sattva, rajas, and tamas, are prevalent. So when we have that knowledge, someone who is completely aware of that tattva gyan, that Sankhya Yoga, which is more detail of it is in chapter 2. Again, I would say that please go to the chapter 2 and you will be able to fully understand it in depth. Such person is who resides in that understanding is able to have a sense of equanimity, because then the consequences, whatever is happening in the outer world, whatever is happening around them, whatever is happening to their relationships, is you can see that it's just play. It is happening, definitely it is happening in front of you, but it doesn't affect the core. The core is very much situated in that knowledge. That is why it is not that people who have, if we learn all this, things will not happen to us, things will not happen around us. First thing will happen is that we will be very much having a sense of equanimity in all situations. We will be very balanced in our mind, heart, and soul, situated more in the consciousness of the soul. So it's easier to sail through different situations. Two, they are most likely we may not be able to do certain karmas that we clearly know are not falling from our dharma, are not in line or aligned to our own dharma. So that way a lot of people may not be able to, will not be suffering. So that sense of suffering will go away, because too much attachment is the reason of suffering. When you detach yourself from your own actions and see a little bit of like a witness to your own actions, we are more able to see with clarity that what path we need to take. We are also able to see with more clarity that this whatever situation has now come around me, though it is very unfaithful or not happy, or sometimes it is a great situation, but at the same time having that sense of separation even then, and knowing that, as Tattva Gyan says, we are separate from everything that is happening. The Atma is separate from everything. It is the medium that is operating. So, getting too much caught up into the medium is the cause of suffering, and getting attached to it, and then getting into the emotions of hatred, jealousy, uh, too much sense of achievement. Like I said in the previous chapter, also, whatever goes up goes down. So it's all temporary. It's all time bound. So obviously, with time, nothing is going to be lasting. So therefore, that is why it is cause of suffering. So those who are situated in that knowledge of permanence, which is of the consciousness, they actually do not differentiate much uh, between different status, between different types of people, even between humans and animals, and even those who we consider as downtrodden. There is really no difference, because they all have the same consciousness within them. इसलिए मन समतप भाव में स्थित है उनके द्वारा इस जीवित अवस्था में ही संपूर्ण संसार जीत लिया, अर्थात वे जीते हुए ही संसार से मुक्त हैं, क्योंकि सच्चिदानंदन परमात्मा निर्दोष और सम है। इससे वे सच्चिदानंदन परमात्मा में ही स्थित हैं। सो नाउ इमेजिन इट्स like you may ask that how is it possible to even achieve that state of equanimity even in Buddhism, which there this element is a big concept, which is of Maitri, Karuna, and I think and then equanimity of ekagrata. So having that ekagrata, how is it possible unless we do realize that whatever is happening is temporary, and we don't need to attach too much to ourselves to every up and every down, because both are not true sense of is not tattva. If we attach ourselves to the tattva, then all these ups and downs will not bother much. That will bring us the state of equanimity, and through one who has achieved that state of equanimity, Shri Krishna says, is already free and has found moksha, is free from this world. You don't have to die to become free from this world. Even while living in this world, you can be free from the tangles of this world, the clutches of pain and suffering, and ups and downs of this world, the turmoils of this world. Someone loves me, someone doesn't love me, they respect me, they don't respect me, they invite me, they don't invite me, they want to be my friend, someone has a larger friend circle, I don't have a largest friend circle, they have this, I don't have this, they look more prettier than me, they look taller than me, they look younger than me. We are always we are always having some sort of comparison, uh, and if we are not, then it's great. If someone who's not having that sense of comparison, that means they're having that sense of peace within, and that sense of peace comes from having this knowledge that we are not these outer shells. Deep within, we are that consciousness which is not even affected by any of this. Even with death, something extreme as an extreme as death, आत्मा पे कोई प्रभाव नहीं होता है. आत्मा is just the same, cannot be, like in second chapter it is said, it cannot be um, burnt with fire, it can't be cut by a sword, it can't be made wet by water, it cannot be killed. Atma never dies, Atma never takes birth, it just is. And that is our true inner state of being. when we are always residing deep down in that, outer obviously turmoils that happen, or outer changes that happen in our life, they will be much easier to handle. So here Shri Krishna explains further. He says that person who, जो पुरुष प्रिय को अर्थात जिसको लोग प्रिय समझते हैं उसको प्राप्त होकर हर्षित नहीं होता, और अप्रिय को अर्थात जिसको लोग अप्रिय समझते हैं उसको प्राप्त होकर उद्वेगवान न होकर, ऐसी स्थिर बुद्धि संशय रहित ब्रह्मवेता पुरुष सच्चिदानंदन परम ब्रह्म परमात्मा में एक ही भाव से नित्य स्थित है. So someone, when we say, okay, whatever in good situation, which people think are good situation, like if you have got something as an achievement, you have become something, you've gained a position, power, money, status, you married, you got a love, or you're more pretty, you got some award, something. At that state, if you don't become happy, you just remain happy, you just remain at peace. And when things which are apriya, like which people think which are not happy, maybe you lose something, loss of someone, loss of position, status, money, loss of youth, loss of beauty, loss of loved one, you don't become sad. Such person who is without any doubt, these are doubts only, no, now I am sad because this happened to me, these are doubts. Person who is without doubts, Brahmavreta, who resides in Brahma, who resides in the sense of consciousness, and in the sense of equanimity in all these situations, is already living in total God's consciousness. When we say, no, I want to reach the God consciousness through meditation or through yoga or something, one who is living life like that and is practicing and understanding and working through life like that, that person is already living in the consciousness of God, is living in God consciousness. बाहर के विषयों में अर्थात सांसारिक भोगों में आसक्ति रहित अंतकरण वाला पुरुष, अंतकरण में जो भगवत ध्यानजित आनंद है उसको प्राप्त होता है, और वह पुरुष सच्चिदानंद परम ब्रह्म परमात्मा रूप योग में एकाकी भाव से स्थित हुआ अक्षय आनंद को अनुभव करता है. So a person who lives in this state of mode and is operating in this state of mode is always happy with themselves, finds happiness within, finds comfort within, and finds knowledge within. Such person in same in all situations is experiencing akshay, means eternal, something that doesn't end. Anand means bliss. So that person is actually experience an eternal bliss. That bliss doesn't go away. It doesn't go away through any external things that are happening, because that person is not attaching themselves to any external circumstances. जो यह इंद्रिय तथा विषयों के संयोग से उत्पन्न होने वाले सब भोग हैं, वे यद्यपि विषयी विषयों को सुख रूप बसते हैं तो भी निसंदेह दुख के ही हेतु हैं और आदि अंत वाले अर्थात अनित्य हैं. Just like I said before, in this shloka, Shri Krishna says, those people who believe that whatever I see, if it is pleasant, then it gives me happiness. Whatever I experience through my understanding of what I'm seeing, hearing, touching, tasting, if that is unpleasant, it is giving me displeasure. If it is pleasant, it is giving me pleasure. If they think that because of my accumulation of all the things that are pleasing, I am enjoying life, I am also having bliss, unfortunately that bliss is not long lasting, because nothing is long lasting. No thing is long lasting. Shri Krishna is very clearly saying these all things are Adi Anand. They begin and they end. They all have a beginning and they have an ending. So they are anitya. They are temporary. So if you are finding happiness and pleasure in these end things which are beginning, have a beginning and ending, of course you are going to ultimately suffer. So they are nisandeh, without a doubt, cause of suffering. Therefore, a sensible, a knowledgeable person doesn't indulge in them. जो मनुष्य शरीर के नाश होने से पहले ही काम और क्रोध से उत्पन्न हुए वेग को सहने में समर्थ है, अर्थात काम क्रोध को जिसने सदा के लिए जीत लिया है, वह मनुष्य इस लोक में योगी है तथा वही सुखी है. So Shri Krishna says that one, there are two major things in this world when we operate. Any of our actions, any of our decisions, any of our choices, rather, from a simple choice to making a friend, to what to cook for dinner, to choosing a job, a life partner, to even choosing our reaction in different situations, we will see are driven by two things. One is our desires, and two is our attraction and repulsion towards things which lead to krodh, anger. So, if someone, Krishna says, if we have someone who has won or has learned to manage their desires and anger, that person has truly won themselves, won over themselves. And by winning over themselves, they are able to live in this life as a yogi, perfectly operating normal as a normal human being. They will be called as yogi, and they are the only happy ones, truly happy ones. That happiness which doesn't end. They are the truly eternal happy ones. जो पुरुष निश्चय करके आत्मा में ही सुख वाला, आत्मा में ही आराम वाला और जो आत्मा में ही ज्ञान वाला, वह सच्चिदानंद परब्रह्म परमात्मा के साथ एक ही भाग हुआ सांख्य योगी शांत ब्रह्म को प्राप्त होता है. लाइक आई सेड, dwelling in yourself, finding happiness with yourself, learning from yourself, and finding comfort in yourself, such a person is fully aware of the Sankhya Yoga, the knowledge of Atma, and such person is living in perfect peace and bliss. नाश हो गए हैं सब पाप जिसके, तथा ज्ञान करके निवृत्त हो गया है संशय जिसका, और संपूर्ण भूत प्राणियों के हित में है रति जिसकी, एकाग्र हुआ है भगवान के ध्यान में चित्त जिनका, ऐसे ब्रह्म वेता पुरुष शांत ब्रह्म परम ब्रह्म को प्राप्त होते हैं. Again, the same thing Krishna is saying, having full understanding of what is the true knowledge is what gives eternal peace and eternal clarity and peace to those who live through these principles. काम क्रोध से रहित जीते हुए चित्त वाले परम ब्रह्म परमात्मा का साक्षात किए हुए ज्ञानी पुरुषों के लिए सब ओर से शांत परम ब्रह्म परमात्मा ही प्राप्त हैं. So such people who can win over their lust and their anger. हे अर्जुन, बाहर के विषय भोगों को ना चिंतन करता हुआ बाहर ही त्याग कर, और नेत्रों की दृष्टि को भ्रुकुटी के बीच में स्थित कर तथा नासिका में विचरने वाले प्राण और अपान वायु को सम करके जीती हुई हैं इंद्रियां, मन और बुद्धि जिसकी, ऐसा जो मोक्ष परायण मुनि इच्छा भय और क्रोध से रहित है, वह सदा मुक्त ही है. Here Krishna is saying that instead of dwelling too much into outer things, कौन क्या कर रहा है, who's doing what is happening here. Today we are in an information age where there is too much information at our disposal and free of cost. We don't even have to pay to get that information. It's just being bombarded on us. Instead, if we can close our eyes, sit in straight posture, close our eyes, try to bring our awareness between the two eyebrows and focus on the incoming and outgoing breath and stay there. Krishna says, like that, we are able if we practice that, that is also called as meditation. I think this is the simplest uh, way to introduce us to what could be meditation. And then many things like yoga, Pitanjali, you can go through it. But most importantly, it is to bring your dhyan into the center of your eyebrows, and just not dwell into the outer information and things that are going around, and bring our awareness to this point, and just focus on the breathing that happens through the nose nostrils, the in breath and the out breath. And you will actually find so much peace if you can do that even for 1 minute. If you have never done it, if you try to do that even for 60 seconds, you will see that you feel so much peace and contentment and fulfillment, which you may not feel from eating your favorite dessert also. Trust me. By doing that as a longer practice, what it helps us achieve is the freedom from three biggest vices that are the biggest cause of our suffering. One is the ichha, the desire, bhai, the fear, and krodh, anger. So someone who has either of these three, anger is something that most of us struggle with. So if you try to do this and you see over a period of time, you reduce, you're able to witness yourself getting angry and manage it. You will realize that slowly you'll be moving more towards equanimity of mind, and which is a path towards eternal bliss. So Sri Krishna says, Arjun, मेरा भक्त मेरे को यज्ञ और तपों का भोगों वाला और संपूर्ण लोकों के ईश्वरों का भी ईश्वर तथा संपूर्ण भूत प्राणियों का सहद अर्थात स्वार्थ रहित प्रेमी ऐसा तत्व से जानकर शांति को प्राप्त होता है. So he says, Arjun, know that I am, you perform all these rituals, you perform all of these wonderful activities and karmas, and you dedicate it to me. And who is me? I am one who loves each one of everyone equally. I am, and selflessly. It is not because of these activities that our higher selves loves us. It is because of the selflessness, because of the unconditional love that our highest self is capable of, is because of which that we all are loved, cared for, and blessed. Knowing this, with this knowledge, my devotees, the people who pray to me, they should have this knowledge, and with this knowledge they should do their karmas by not attaching any personal doership to their work, as well as not attaching either any desires, any lust, and therefore there will be no cause for anger and no cause for fear. So this was the Karma Sannyas Yoga, the 5th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, and I am grateful to share this on this very beautiful and very auspicious occasion of Ram Navami. As promised, I would be sharing with you one episode of Ramayana that also is coincidentally related to Karma Sannyas Yoga. There's an episode in Ramayana when Sri Ram, Sita, and Lakshman they go to Ganges and they have to cross that river, and there is a kevat, the person who rows the boat. He takes them across, and before he makes them enter into his boat, he first washes Sri Ram's feet, and then he welcomes him into his boat, and nicely he rows them across the river to their destination, where they were planning to go as vanvas, as they were as a part of their vanvas. Now when they're about to get down, as a part of his action that he rowed them towards the other side of towards the other bank of the river, Sri Ram tries to give his ring to that Kevat because he was left with nothing. He had only one ring as a king, as a prince. So he thought that he has done some action, he has done his karma, so I must reward him for his karma, and I must pay for this ride. So he gives him this mundri, and he says that his ring, and he says that this is your sort of payment. So that what does that Kevat says? Kevat says कि उतराई नहीं लूंगा राम. I still, when I listen to this shloka, it brings tears to my eyes. That imagine that Kevat is not even educated. He's not been to any big institutions. He's not been educated by any gurus. He's just a working class person. But such is the evolution. So that's why knowledge, learning from self, finding comfort in self, and knowledge in self, आत्मा में सुख, आराम और ज्ञान, comfort in self, happiness in self, and gyan in self. This is a great example of that. That Kevat has never been to a school, has never been to a university, and a god is sitting in his boat. Look for an achievement of that man. And he is not bewildered. He's nicely riding them to the other side of the bank of the river. And when God is giving him his reward, he's a poor man. He could have just taken that as a prasad from God and felt so happy, such a precious ring. But he says, उतराई नहीं लूंगा राम. तुम आए हम पार उतारे, जब आएंगे हम द्वार तुम्हारे, तब तुम पार लगायो राम. पतित पावन सीताराम. What it means is, you came, you graced me with your presence, and I was fortunate to row you to the other side of the bank. Now one day I will reach the end of this life, and I will come to you to row me to the other side, which is the state of consciousness, the state of moksha. He says, one day I will reach that stage where I have finished with my life, I am done with my material existence, and I will come to you to take me to the state of moksha. Tab tum par lagayo Ram. Then please guide me towards moksha. Please take me towards liberation. So he says, I utrai nahi lunga, because I am doing what you also do. He actually tells him, you and I are on the same profession. I take people from this end of the river to another end of the river. You also take people from one end of life to another end of life. So when my time comes, please Sri Ram, take me from one end to the other too, through your guidance, love, and your grace. This one episode of Ramayana is very, very dear to me, and it teaches me that knowledge resides within. Gyan hamare andar hai. Find it by reading such wonderful texts, Bhagavad Gita and Ramayana. We realize there is so much knowledge that comes, it kinds of gets invoked within. Meditate on these learnings, and you will find your everyday existence to be a perfect eternal bliss in the service of God. Thank you so much for joining me for this chapter 5, and I'm so excited to start the next chapter with you, which is the chapter 6, and which is called Atma Sanyam Yoga, how to control and how to have that integrity, inner integrity. So I'm sure it will be a wonderful learning to continue in the next chapter. Until then, thank you so much for listening and continue reading Bhagavad Gita on your own, or you can just listen to these episodes. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Jai Siya Ram.